What's up, guys? By creatures. Zach and I are really excited tonight. We have Brandon Wheeler from Morelia House. What's up, Brandon?
How's it going, fellas? What's going on? Thanks for having me.
What's good, man?
Yeah, man.
Hanging out, man. Happy Friday.
Hell yeah.
It's been a hell of a Friday for me, for sure.
Dude.
But
yeah, man.
I'm gonna try to stay away from all that negative bullshit and do what we do and have a good time. Brandon, man, so Morelia House. So obviously you are the Morelia guy. You're into Morelias. What led you down that path, man? Like, what made you decide to go that way?
All right. So the first snake I ever got was a ball python, and I got the ball python. I was 11 years old. And when I was picking snakes, it was the ball python or the carpet python. Mm-hmm. And I really wanted the carpet python. And the guy at the pet store told my mom something like that. Somebody that it was too snippy, too bitey, that it wasn't a good first snake, So we ended up going the ball python route. And I always wanted a carpet. So I made it till like 16 probably with just having the ball python, and then I got my first carpet python, and shortly after that my second, and it just blew up, man. And I was fortunate enough to breed my first clutch of carpets when I was like 19, and I'm 35 now, so yeah, been doing it for a while. Been keeping snakes ever since.
That's awesome.
I want to say, you know what though, Steve Irwin got bit in the face when I was like 10 or 11.
I remember
by coastal carpet. Yeah, that's why I wanted it. That episode.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, we've got to be close in age, because I remember feeling the same way, like around that same age. It was like ball pythons and carpet pythons were like just at the peak. Like that's what you read about. That's what you heard about, if you heard about anything.
And they were all normals, dude. There wasn't any morphs back then.
No,
the pastel hadn't even come out yet, dude. This is before pastel, before any of that stuff. There were normal ball pythons. That was it.
Yeah, and people were stoked about them.
Oh yeah, I was, dude. I had that snake for a long time. It was a good snake, Yeah. But always been focused more on the slender-bodied animals. Something about seeing a snake on a branch. There's nothing better looking than a snake on a branch. That's a quote from Nick. He always says it. It's so funny because I'll be at a show with him. I remember I was at a show with him years and years and years ago, and we're hanging out, we're selling snakes, and anybody who sells snakes has anybody in sales, period, no matter what you're selling, there's pitches that you get into and that you repeat all the time, day to day, depending on what you sell. You end up with just a Rolodex of things that you say in your head, and you just stick with the ones that works. And all day long, Nick would be talking to customers like, there's just nothing better looking than a snake on a branch.
and dude, like, anything on a branch. Argue with that, just because like Zach and Zach and I talk about it all, or we've talked about it on here several times. Like the animal that really just threw me over the top with reptiles was an emerald tree boa. Mm-hmm. Like just seeing it sitting there, like that, just beautiful animal sitting in a tree, man. So that nothing looks better. I agree. Like that's profound statement.
Absolutely. So now just been keeping them along the way and slowly growing my collection, and life happens and collections grow and collections shrink and they grow again and they grow again. And this is probably the third one of those that I've had, and eventually we just dial into exactly what we want. I don't know about you guys, but I had a really hard case of Noah's Ark syndrome in my early 20s where like I just had one of everything, because I didn't care about breeding, it didn't matter. I started to acquire more stuff, but at one point I kept a whole bunch of species and I looked around and realized I had no goals. I had no plans. I hadn't thought out my collection other than just getting the stuff that was cool. And I wasn't in a position to be able to just buy the rest of the stuff that's cool and pair everything up. It just didn't work. So, I ended up needing to move and sold everything except like 6 or 7 animals, And from there, it was just when I rebuilt, I was much more laser focused and, put together a collection I really like.
It's awesome.
Well, right now, you had said just a second ago that you started out with the carpets and breeding the carpets, but I also know that you're very interested in scrubs and you're working with those too. At what point did you get into scrubs from the carpet pythons?
So I want to say I was 22-ish, somewhere in there, and I was living in Knoxville, Tennessee at the time. And I just moved there, and I went to a reptile show in Kentucky. And I had heard of scrub pythons. I knew what scrub pythons were. I had never actually held one. And I go up to this table, and they have they said captive bred. Now I'm thinking probably not, but it was young Moluccan python, Clastophus. And so I'm looking at this little Clasto. I had no idea how cool, dude. I bought it for like $250. And, you try to buy one of those today, it'll be at least $3,000. Who knows? We'll see what happens when somebody hatches some, but that's not the same. And, just raised her, and had her for years and years and years. And, she was a great snake. And, unfortunately I ended up, when I did that collection sell off, I needed money because I was moving. So I sold her. And she died like 8 months later in the hands of the guy that I sold her to. He had he had a thermostat malfunction, and he cooked her. So I didn't know that until I called to try to buy her back.
Oh man,
yeah, because I wanted to buy back a bunch of the stuff that I had sold off. She died. I also sold off a pair of Macleod Pythons that were proven breeders that I produced like 3 seasons of eggs of Macleod Pythons. And the dude that I sold them to, like a month later, sells them to somebody else. Specifically, a kid that I said was not allowed to buy them. You know how there's that like local kid that just collects everything, but just takes crappy care. And
I was going to say, everybody knows him. And
you know how there's that
rotating
kid,
animals through
the one that walks into the pet shop and you work there and you're just like, oh fuck, not him again. That kid ended up buying a pair of Macleods. Again, proven breeders, dude. I raised them from freaking this big, had them for a super long time, and I don't know. He killed them. So those were the 2 things I wanted back, and none of them survived.
Man, that's brutal.
Terrible.
Yeah, that's crazy. Man, speaking of, you're the first person that we've had on here that has actually brought up breeding Macleods. Kind of give me a little rundown on the Macleod Python, because that's something that's going to be new for our audience here that we haven't really touched on at all, and they're an awesome species.
Oh yeah, no, they're great snakes, dude. I loved them. I mean, they have a really bad rap for being super aggressive. My babies were always super bitey. Both of my adults were always super tame. I didn't need a hook to get them out. They were puppy dog babies, and they snap out of it. A lot of snakes are like that. They're mean when they're young. They get they get a bad rap, but they're fantastic animals, and they're semi-arboreal, and I don't want to call them semi-aquatic, but they do spend a large amount of time in the water if you give them an opportunity to. So, they do enjoy climbing. They also enjoy soaking. I kept them the majority of the time together. Once they got to be like 4 years or like 3 years old, they were breeding size, I started cohabbing them, and I kept them in a massive enclosure back then. I had what was it? It was like 8 feet by 3 feet by 4 feet or something like that for the pair.
Holy cow, that's awesome.
And it was built, dude, I built it into my house. It was the first house I ever bought. And again, I was young, so I didn't care. Yeah. And I freaking built this like cage wall of these huge cages. And I just let them cohab, man. I'd separate them to feed. But other than that, they had tons of space, tons of hiding spots. They like to breed in the water.
Oh, wow.
Dude, favorite liasses, I gotta say, Macleod Pythons, because those are the ones that I kept and bred. Should I have the opportunity to buy some right now, I would buy Savus. If someone called me right now, like if you have Savus for sale, I'd probably buy some Savus. Dunn's pythons I will be interested in. I don't know if this is the year for them or not, but I would like to work with, I mean, really any of them. I'd love to get with Max again, but I'd like the opportunity to breed a different species I haven't bred before. So, I would get one of the other species. Olives are fantastic. Dude, they're all cool. It just depends on what flavor you feel like eat, like with here's the problem. If I had Liasis, I would have to have all of them because that's what I do. I have every species of carpet python that I can get, with the exception of Darwin. Darwins are the only species of carpet python that I don't have. So, and that's just nothing against Darwins. I just don't want them right now.
I was going to ask if there was a particular reason, a particular. I
don't want to knock anyone's projects because I think they're all cool. It's
sure.
Just
no,
so
we all have those things. We're just like
so many people got into albino. Mm-hmm. That oh my god, an albino carpet python, and then everybody and their mom, like everybody got albino. Like, other people are gonna do that. I want to do different stuff.
It's a perfectly reasonable answer, because I'm kind of that same way. I'm like I want to go where people aren't working on something and go that direction and like really make that a big thing myself, like have an actual effect, rather than just being like one face in the crowd that's like trying to sling the same snakes,
See, I have a lot of jungle carpets. Jungle carpets are a big passion of mine. I've got a lot of those. That's, not quite half of my collection, but maybe like a third of my collection are jungles. Something about black and yellow and black and white, and black and, olives, there's just so much variation between the gelatins, which are like this beautiful, if you haven't seen them, look them up, like this black with this like cream color and this really cool like olive tones that are just super interesting. And I love my gelatin. I love my locality stuff. And I don't know, man, jungle carpets, everything looks cooler on a branch.
And it comes full circle with everything looks cooler on the branch. I love it. I'm actually everybody that watches this knows where I'm fixing to go with this, man. Like, and if you can help me out, man, I've got everybody on the planet looking right now. If you can find me an Apodora, please let me know, because I'm fiending for an.
I was literally just gonna say the word fiending. This is getting to be a little weird. We might have to do these.
Have you asked Riley?
Yeah, man, Riley. That's actually how Riley ended up on Connected by Creatures.
That's right.
No. Like, have you asked him today?
Oh,
because he was on Morelia Python Radio yesterday and mentioned that he might know a guy that has a couple that could possibly be available. So I don't know if anybody hit him up on that or not, but call Riley.
Yeah, dude, I will get with Riley as soon as we finish this, actually. And Riley,
one of those like knows a guy that knows a guy kind of thing.
Yeah. Hey. And he only mentions it just randomly on NPR, which I feel bad. I didn't realize he was on there today. I would have watched it or checked it out.
He's always on there.
Yeah, it's so hard to keep up with what everybody's on and trying to do. I mean.
Yeah, no, I think it's cool, man. They've had some good stuff going on. I like
sure.
What is it? Carpets and Coffee, man.
Yeah.
I always check out Carpets and Coffee.
Yeah,
I remember when he started those.
There's so much content that's quality content, that's out there. Like I run out of time, between work and my family and my animals, and then doing this podcast. Like, I run out of time. I don't get to listen to everything I want to listen to. And, some people kind of have that feeling of, everybody's in competition and everybody's trying. Dude, I enjoy all of it. Like, I think there's room for everybody to continue to make more content. And I wish everybody would have a podcast, because everybody has some cool information that they're coming up with.
Yeah,
it's fun, man. I like the connection. I like being able to hear from different people and, hear about the failures and the successes and the opinions, and kind of, things are kind of tweaking one way or the other, changing this and that. It's amazing how much these podcasts and social media can influence a trend. That's one thing that I find very interesting, is if a whole bunch of podcasters start talking about a specific snake over and over and over again, you can actually watch that snake's value, like cha-ching, 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 cha-ching.
Mm-hmm.
It's trippy,
Ultra
especially with specific stuff. Like it happens all the time.
Yeah, it's amazing. The large impact that many voices can have, or even just one voice being repetitive enough across enough platforms.
Or if Jason Kabilka says it.
Yeah, but exactly. That's the perfect example, man. It's the perfect example. Yeah, so kind of diving into that, man. I always like to talk about the business side of things, Brandon. So like, give me a little bit of a background on like what this business looks for you. Is this something you're doing full time? You have a daytime job? Is this a goal to be full time? That kind of stuff.
I sell plumbing in my real life.
Okay.
And that's how I pay my bills. That's what I do for a living.
Yeah.
And the reptiles are the reptiles. Would I like to make some money doing this? Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Is that my number one focus? No, it's not. But as I get older, I do want to make smart decisions with my pairings, and I do want to make sure that I'm producing animals that people want, and that are quality. And I want to make sure that they recommend me to their friends, and I want to make sure that I can just do the best that I can with what I'm doing, because I do have financial goals, and I have spent a insane amount of money in my entire life doing this.
Yeah.
It's not cheap. So, anybody thinking about, I'm going to be a breeder, look, man, you should, but don't do it for the money. I've been doing this for a long time. Yeah, I barely break even. Break even.
Yeah, I mean, you got to come in with a ton of money to make any sort of profit in any rapid way. And then on top of that, like, but because like a lot of times I think a lot of people don't think about it too. Like, so ball pythons, they mature so quickly and they're ready to go. But like things like, for example, like dwarves and super dwarves, you're talking like 5-6 years before these females can give you eggs. Like that's 5-6 years of hard work, cleaning, feeding, caging,
electrical, housing.
Electric housing, and the housing. That's you got to have a stable lifestyle, like.
What could you rent your room for out to a roommate? Okay. And then figure out what each snake's rent is.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, that's the best way I've heard that put in a long time.
I've never heard it put like that, but
it's the truth. It's the truth. What does that snake owe you every month? That's a very articulate way to put it.
Think about it. You'll realize
people don't talk about that.
You're not really making money, bro. You're just some of the bills are paid. You're still in the red, dog.
you're just shuffling the shit down the trough.
For real. And that's cool, and I'm happy to do it. And that's the thing.
No,
be happy to do it, because if you're not, you're
labor of love. And I think that's where a lot of people, or I don't think a lot of people, but I think there's definitely that sector of people that are like, oh shit, man, let's jump into breeding snakes. And they jump in real quick and then they jump out real fast too, because it's not that get rich quick scheme like people are thinking it is. There's a lot of work.
Money. It won't work. It won't work. If it's for money, you're
out. You're out in
what up, Riley? How are you?
Yeah, so we were talking about Riley, we were talking about Dylan, both of them popped in. Who else is next?
No, man, but this year actually I'm stoked. I only have one clutch on the ground, but I feel like I'm headed to a really, really, really good year. I think this is going to be the best breeding season I've ever had, by a lot.
That's huge.
And I just hope that it goes well. I hope the clutches are fertile. I hope the incubator holds true, and I hope this place really rips this year, because, man, as I look around, everything's gravid. I love this time of year, man. Easter eggs are the best. I've gotten eggs on Easter like 3 years in a row, and
that's amazing.
I think this year I'll probably get some Easter eggs this year too.
What all pairings you got going on over there? If it's a secret, it's a secret. But what's the Easter clutch expected to be?
There you go. Well, I have an IJ that's het granite that was paired to a granite that's over here, and that one, she's like upside down right now, like just looking at me funny, all curled up in a ball. A bunch of them are. So that one could go. I have a jungle carpet Juicy. She bred last year and produced some phenomenal offspring, and she's looking real gravid right now as well. Port Douglas Coastals, Brisbane locality Coastals. Scrub pythons, my southern scrub girl, she could lay any of these. I think they're all going to come like the same time. It's going to be wild. They all look like they're right because they were all locked up at the same time. Like there was one day I walked in here and there's like 5 different cages locked. I'm like, holy crap. So
that's huge.
Yeah,
man.
No, it's
I can't wrap my head around
that. Barnex, maybe. I have a female Barneck that she isn't eating. Which, you know, some snakes, they don't eat when they're gravid. A lot of snakes do.
Yeah.
Most of my females that are gravid right now, they eat when they're gravid, but occasionally have one that'll go off feed. She's off feed. She's on the hot side for the first time in months because she was staying on the cool side for a long time, which on the cool end is really where they build follicles. And then once ovulation hits and everybody's fertilized, they tend to go to the hot side and really suck up that heat through a good part of the rest of that period. And yeah, so she's on the hot side. She's curled up a little, kind of like I like her. We'll see. I don't know on that one for sure. The rest of the stuff I'll get clutches from. Really, really excited though about a random one, man. I'm gonna do Amazon tree boas, I think. So nice. That's cool. I've never bred boas before, and these were both I have a yellow Amazon tiger and an orange Amazon tiger, and just the idea that I get to walk in one of these days and see a whole pile of babies just in the cage, and I don't even have to catch anything. It's like cheating, dude. You know, like cheat code boas.
I've always thought that too, you know, like I've never bred any type of boas either. And like, I've always thought to myself, like, how fucking cool would it be to just walk in the reptile room one day and there just be a bunch of babies in there, you know, not eggs. And I hope that happens for you, Brandon, because like, that should be awesome.
Oh, I know. And well, I didn't think they had bred. I really didn't. And I looked at her, and all of a sudden my female is like 5 times as dark as she normally is. Like my really pretty yellow tiger that's so pretty all of a sudden was like dark fucking brown. And I was like, oh my God. And she wasn't in shed, you know, and she was soaking up the heat, which she never, ever sits underneath the heat, ever. And she was sitting under the heat and laying sideways. And I'm like, holy crap. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I'm just excited. I'm just the dude that loves this shit. And I think I'm going to have a good year. And frankly, fuck, I've earned it.
Yeah, man, for sure. So I met Brandon for the first time at Carpet Fest. And I think that, you know, have you heard bombs? Morelia bombs, yeah, most definitely. Have you heard anything about Carpet Fest this year? I've talked to Brian a little bit about it. You know, and I know Brian put out a video with Travis where they talked about it. But do we have a final date?
Yes.
Not. I know we do. We do?
Yeah, I made a note of it because he mentioned it somewhere, and I don't even remember where. Should be June 12th.
Okay, cool. Yeah, he did actually. Now that you mention that, so yeah, apparently.
Yeah, I literally don't remember where. I was like, wait, I wrote this down somewhere. I pulled it up in my phone.
Yeah, I've been, you know, the one kind of setting up Carpet Fest for the last couple of years, but you know, Cuska is definitely he's doing this one, so I don't know the details, but you know, Brian, he'll throw them out for sure. We'll all see it here soon. He already did a YouTube video. I got to check it out. I haven't seen it yet.
No, I don't think it was a YouTube video. This was something he mentioned in a conversation, like on a live.
Yeah, I think it was a live with Travis.
Yeah, it was like a very small format thing. Like he just threw it out there. It was the first time I'd heard him mention the date, it was recent. It was within the last few days, which was why I made a note of it in my phone.
I know he wants to. I know he wants to do a park. There's a park by his house that allows open containers where everybody can hang out, and I guess there's like a zoo that's there, something like the United States' smallest ZA zoo, he said, is like in that area. And anyway, yeah, that was just kind of the start of it, but past that, I'm not sure what's going on. But there will be a party, and I'll be there.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at, man. I can't wait to hang out with you again, because meeting you at Carpet Fest, that shit was pretty awesome. And I think Zach's gonna come this year, so
yeah,
it'll be cool.
We had fun.
Yeah,
that was a great time.
That'll be my first time to California.
For those of you who aren't aware of what Morelia bombs are, a Morelia bomb is a drink that was invented by Mr. Brandon Wheeler over here. And basically you take a wild berry pre-workout and mix it with Jaeger. Yeah, C4, and mix it with Jaeger, and that becomes a Morelia bomb. So you're all hyped up on pre-workout, plus you're drunk as shit from Jaeger. And
it turns into,
don't forget about the Red Bull and Red Bull.
Oh yeah, and Red Bull. Yeah. Oof. So it turns into long nights, Brandon. I'm pretty sure it's like 4 o'clock in the morning. Me and Brandon are still talking.
Yeah, I'm a bartender, and I did not condone that. I did not condone that at all.
We drank that. Yeah.
Oh man. One thing I want to talk about, Brandon, because it's one of the coolest reptile things I've ever seen, and I got to see it firsthand, was you with that pied. And yeah, anybody who hasn't seen it, that Garrett's pied, it's a pretty high-strung animal, to say it nicely. And it took a shot at Brandon's face in front of me. And I really thought that Brandon was Neo from the Matrix, because he just kind of laid back and like let it go by. Dude, is that a skill that you've acquired from the scrubs?
I was literally thinking scrub pythons.
Or are you just fucking that badass?
No. I've been trained. I've been trained.
Like, no, listen, a retake is nothing but a fat, slow version of a scrub.
Yeah, no, they're heavy here though. That was a big snake. It was the weight that was hard, and I couldn't freaking hold it, man. I was trying to hold it, and there's probably 20 people there, and I don't know. I grabbed it too close to the neck, and it spooked it, and it whipped around, and I just got really, really lucky, and apparently still had good reflexes despite the Morelia bombs. It worked out.
Maybe because of the Morelia bombs.
that was pure drunk luck, my friend.
I'm able to move very fast, but super fluid.
No, man, that was a great party. I had a lot of fun, and if that snake would have got me, all jokes aside, that would have been fucking horrible. So I'm really glad for myself that worked out.
Yeah, she had a massive head. So I mean, I can only imagine how big those teeth are. Yeah,
I
think I'll take a pass on that.
I saw them.
Yeah. You're like, yeah. I think one grazed my eyelash.
Dude, you know what was awesome to watch though is the way that Garrett worked with her. Because Garrett Hart was there with me and handling her with me. And just watching the way that Garrett can manipulate the retics and just work the retics, that was a schooling session, like that was getting taken to class and getting schooled on how to handle a squirrely large python. And it was pretty impressive.
Yeah, he's an impressive guy. I mean, I got to go visit his facility last year. Actually, my phone popped up today. My memory photos on my iPhone today was from Garrett's place. So I guess it must have been, within the last year, literally to the day almost. Anyways, but yeah, man, just seeing him, like, he pulled out like a 13-foot pure Solaire female. And when he was getting her out, the whole idea, we were going to make a video and it was supposed to be a little dramatic. He's like, yeah, this girl, like, just lately, for whatever reason, it's like she's just taking pop shots left and right. And the whole idea of the video we were trying to film was like showing how she'd be kind of go from crazy to like kind of calming down in theory. And so he's like warning me as we're getting this girl out. But dude, he just goes right in, just pulls her out. And just like you were saying, man, just the way that he interacts with those animals is different from the way that I've ever seen anybody else kind of work with their retics or just really like anything. It's interesting. He's got a different way of moving, a different demeanor with his animals. It's just fluid. It's just non-reactive to anything almost. It's weird. What's up, Jeremy?
How's it going, man?
So a lot of times on this show, Brandon, we don't so much dive into the reptiles, just the reptiles. We go into the personality of the person and kind of share stuff that you don't see on other things. So outside of just the reptiles, man, like what makes Brandon Wheeler Brandon Wheeler? Like, kind of what kind of created who you are?
Well, I have a wife, I have a kid, wonderful family, love them. She does a great job putting up with me. But I grew up a freestyle skier, and I skied, my entire adolescence all over the country, and was really blessed and lucky and privileged to be able to do so. And that really shaped my character and who I am, or a lot of those experiences, because I had the pleasure of traveling with the United States ski team, for all over the place, and spending time with, some very talented people that push their sport and what they do and themselves to the limit every single day. And, so I had some really good mentors growing up, and just frankly had a lot of fun, and that's it, man. It's a life-work balance. If you work your ass off all day, all night, you better find a time to take a break, kick back, and enjoy yourself. I don't care how. But, I like to have fun. I like to be a responsible adult human that's trying to do the right thing every day, and then taking what I've earned from that and enjoying it.
Yeah.
Don't forget to enjoy it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. And I think that's a fucking awesome message. And I try to live by that myself, that everything's balance. Like, and if you're losing yourself to the daily grind, and you're, working the shit out of yourself to try to reach a certain accomplishment, but you don't take that time for yourself to enjoy life, like, you get kind of burn out, you get caught up, and it just makes everything hard. And as we all know, like, life's not promised. Tomorrow isn't promised, and you got to grab life and find your happiness and enjoyment when you can. And yeah, dude, that's a great fucking message, man.
Well, and that's how I find that now, because I live in California. I can't really ski all that often. Is I come home and I walk in this room, and I put my work phone down, and I turn that ringer off, and I just start changing waters and appreciating, what I've been able to build here, one animal at a time. And it's just how I tune everything else out. This is my wind down period, is when I get to come in the reptile room and change waters and feed snakes and check on stuff and clean things and handle them and work with them. And I'm really slow at cleaning cages. I clean cages slow. I'm not in a hurry. Okay. I'm not a productive cage cleaner. It takes time. Because every time I go to a new cage, I take out the animal and I enjoy it for a while. Yeah. And maybe I take some pictures with it. Maybe it goes outside, or maybe it crawls on something stupid, but I try really hard to make sure that I take all the interaction that I have with my pets and appreciate that interaction, and not just rush through it to get through it like a chore. This can't become a chore. It can't, and it can, I promise you, but you can't let it become a chore. You have to find a way to keep with it and keep enjoying it.
No, man, that's killer advice, I think, too, for anyone. Like, the next time if you're cleaning, 20 cages a freaking week, a couple times a week, 3 times a week, whatever, like, take 5 minutes while you're cleaning that cage and just interact with that animal, and just, like, really focus on that. Like, I have this snake that relies on me, and it's a beautiful animal that I get the privilege to have. and think of like what 8-year-old you would think of that snake. You know what I mean? Like that's a crazy thing to think about, right? Like what would our 8-year-old versions of ourselves think of the animals we keep? Like how stoked would that kid be, you know, and try not to lose a piece of that. That's once again solid fucking advice from Brandon Wheeler.
Dude, I can't wait till my eggs hatch, because my son gets so excited at egg hatching time.
Man.
Like, because he's four this year, so he knows a little bit more of it.
Yeah,
and when he was 3, it was just like, kind of like me. Like, we were both so excited. And he asks a gazillion questions. So this year I know he's going to ask a gazillion more. But that's going to be one of my favorite things about egg hatching season, is just sharing it with my boy.
That's huge, man. Just passing that on to the next gen.
And man, like I'm kind of in the same boat, like my daughter loves the animals and loves everything. And it's an amazing feeling to be able to share something that you're passionate about with your kid. And I've seen pictures, Brandon, that you've posted of like your son with a scrub or, whatever animal you had outside, like on a branch, and like your boy be right there. And just seeing that stuff, man, like I love seeing that, because to me, my whole thing with where I'm headed with Wrapped Around Reptiles is to do education with kids and let kids have experiences with these animals that have this weird stigma to them, and to see, somebody that I know, like see you and your, with your son, and being able to interact and share that. Dude, I fucking love that shit, because it hits right at home to me.
It's cool, man. Yeah, no, it's I enjoy fatherhood. It's funny how things change as we grow in our age. Somebody's kid's in there. One of you understands. And it's a cool thing of what we do. And I really like bringing new people into the hobby. That's a big thing that I enjoy. People will run their mouth about Facebook groups all day, and it is warranted. I understand, all right, but that is a massive pool of people that are newly interested into the hobby, that have legitimate questions, that are extremely repetitive, and I get it. But, when you're able to reach out to people like that, and then get to where you're having, conversations with them, and you're able to guide them through their first snake or their second snake or their setups, and kind of help them get that kickstart along the way until you can be like, all right, you're good. And then another one will come along, and you kind of do that over and over and over again. It's fun. I like that. So, that's what it's all about.
Yeah. And, like you said, it's definitely warranted the toxicity of the Facebook groups, but with the, even Instagram and stuff like that, like one of my favorite things is to have somebody send me the message, like, and it could be anybody. And Zach and I talk about this all the time, like not just the fact that people are supporting us, and saying, we enjoy your show, we enjoy your content and what you do, but for somebody to have seen something that I've done and reach out to me for advice, like I will do anything that I can and try to give as much possible time as I can to that person, because, there's things that I've fucked up on and mistakes that I've made that, I don't want the other person to make. And it's not a necessary mistake if I can give them, any little, and I'm not saying I know shit, man, because there's people who know way more than I do about everything, but just being able to give somebody that advice, it is a great feeling.
Well, and I think the big thing too, man, is that, it's, we have to be the positive light in this hobby in spite of the negativity of those Facebook groups. Because I really don't understand the magnetism of those groups to have such large pools of these people that are just so rude with their responses. I've got an acquaintance, not even a friend. Like, we're Facebook friends. We know each other through service industry, but we don't really know each other. But she happens to keep reptiles, and I found this out recently, literally because she made a post stating something about how she had just gotten a chameleon. She has a bearded dragon. She's had a bearded dragon for years, but she had just gotten a chameleon, like kind of a rescue situation, whatever. But she went into a Facebook group like looking for some knowledge and just like got put on blast and literally turned to making a public post on her main profile, like, if any friends that I know things about these, I would appreciate if somebody can actually legitimately give me some help and not be an asshole, because I've tried reaching out in the places that claim to have this information and nobody is like being kind to literally just like help walk me through this. And that hurt my heart, man. You know, I don't know shit about chameleons, but I was like, hey, give me 5 minutes. I got your back. I'll find you fucking somebody nice that will tell you everything you need to know about chameleons. You know,
and that's the thing. That's the thing. Like exactly what you just said. You know how long it takes to figure out how to care for some of this stuff now?
Yeah.
Like 20 minutes, dude. Like, so like nothing, as long as you can find the right resources,
the right person,
places to go. Right. Then especially somebody who's kept a different type of lizard before, do you know how hard it is to tweak an environment to something different?
Yeah.
You know, you got a couple $100 to spend and here's the recipe. Boom.
Yeah.
It's not that hard. So all the holier than thou people that are all nutty over, oh, you've never done any research. How dare you pick up this animal and then ask for, look, dude, stuff happens. Impulse buys happen. Stop freaking judging people and help them out. And the amount of time that you could spend bitching, you could have probably already just given this dude a direction of where to find his stuff or this, you know.
Yeah.
So it happens every day.
Yeah, jump into Messenger, because sometimes one-on-ones are easier, you know, and things like, because I understand a lot of times just people take things the wrong way. I like to give people the benefit of the doubt that they don't understand the way they're sounding sometimes, you know, in some of the stuff they type on Facebook. There's just something about that anonymity. It's the same way that like road rage happens, right? Like there's a lot of people that have road rage that are probably really nice people 100% of the time when they're outside of their vehicle, but there's something about that like weird safeness and anonymity of driving where you feel like you can't be seen and, you know, you can just really act like a dickhead, like kind of like with no consequences. I keep them in the same category personally. You know, the guys that are assholes on the internet. I don't think it's because they're bad people. I just think that they're unaware of the way they're perceived. I don't know.
I'll just give people my phone number, you know, because
that's exactly.
I'll just hey, look, this isn't working in text, but I'd like to finish this conversation.
Yes.
Just give me a call, dude. Send.
And there's a lot to that, man, because like sometimes through text, it's hard to show emotion, and like a lot of times, like I joke a lot. And sometimes like the inflection of my voice can show that I'm joking as compared to like if I type something out, like it comes across, what the fuck? This dude's an asshole.
Well, especially instructions on how to care for something. Because it is again, it's difficult to type a response to someone that sounds understanding and caring and instructional without being like, you're doing everything wrong. Because there are those posts, like I've seen those posts where I'm like, I want to reply to this guy and try to help him and educate him on the right way to be doing this. But I also don't want to completely rip apart his setup and tell him he's an idiot for doing things the way he's doing. You know, I think Cusco talked about that at one point. Like, it's kind of a hard conversation to navigate to that medium to find between educating someone on the fact that they're very wrong about what they're currently doing because it's like just totally noob setup and just fucked up, and also making it sound as though like you're really just trying to help them out. You know what I mean? It's like people get offended too, right? So it goes both ways. But anyways, I don't want to dwell on this topic for too much longer, but just one of those things.
Just out of curiosity, because I don't know your guys' collection very well. Do either of you keep Morelia?
Not yet.
I don't currently. I did have a baby carpet python that my ex and I had for a number of months. It wasn't even really mine. I mean, it was her snake, and she did most of the care. But I loved it. I've always loved carpet pythons. I mean, I told you going back to like the 90s, I remember that time where it was like ball pythons or carpets. And I always loved the look of carpets, just their head shape. I loved any snake that's got like that just fat kind of like pit bull head. I'm a fan of, man, green trees and all that stuff. I get a kick out of them. So I've always loved carpets. I just haven't kept one. There's not really a particular reason why, other than just right now I've got ball pythons and I've got, retics and super dwarf retics. And so, I don't have the space, juggling that many species like you were talking about earlier is just tough. But they're on my list.
Be focused. Yeah, no, I get it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I actually, since I've changed my direction of breeding to doing education and stuff, like I am kind of building a menagerie of different animals, and carpets and scrubs are both on my list. Like I have a few things that I want to grab before those, but I'm definitely looking at different Morelia species. They will be coming soon, but as of now, I've never kept one.
Well, you're missing out, guys.
Oh, I know. And everybody,
literally, you're talking to the right people.
Yeah, definitely talking to the right people, man. Because we both have talked about how much we want to get into them, and neither one of us have pulled the trigger. But
if you could get any of them, which one would you get?
I would probably go with the Bredleys right now.
There you go. I'm really excited, man. I've got a pair of hypo that are het for stripe. Actually, a trio that have been locking over the last 2 weeks. It's a breeding loan that I have here from Nick. So it is a dual project. But yeah, man, I can't wait. I'm freaking excited. We'll see how it goes. This male really just seems to like bouncing back and forth from cage to cage, and the girls seem to be receptive. So if I could do some hypo striped Bredleys this year, that'd be freaking epic.
Hey, you got the man with the swag. Let him do his thing.
Dude, he's a good male. Yeah, he's doing his job, man.
That's awesome. As long as he'll stay eating, dude. If he'll stay eating on top of that, like that's the perfect snake.
Well, I'm excited because I love Bredls. I bred Bredls I bred Bredls once, and it was not recently. It was probably like 7-8 years ago, something like that. 7 years ago. So I'm really looking forward to doing it again. They're unique. I love the red. I love the head. I love the color. I love the stance. And hypo stripes, there's only like 10 of those right now in the United States. So pretty stoked on having the opportunity to be in on that.
Oh, no big deal.
Yeah, just those.
I'm sure a bunch more will hatch this year. It'll sound less cool by the time I get mine, but whatever.
Yeah, but that's not the point, man. That's not the point. It sounds fucking cool right now. That's what matters, all right?
Yeah.
Brandon, you being
that's got to be one of the most resilient species.
You being Morelia House, bro, like, having this conversation, if you were to direct someone towards a Morelia that hasn't kept them before, where would you direct them? I mean, which species?
Inland pythons. Inland pythons are a great place to start. Inlands are they're known to be the calmest, in my opinion. And I'm not saying that any of them are aggressive or mean. They're individual snakes. There's some adults that can be snappy. I don't need a hook to get anything out of my cages, with the exception of the scrubs and the Amazons. Yeah, no, the carpets are cool though. And with the inlands, I can just reach in and here, watch. Look, it's 2 seconds.
I love it. We get to see animals. It's not every podcast we get to see.
I know it's not often, because we've been kind of deviating away from it, which is cool. I'm glad with that, but I always still love to see them.
I know not everybody's going to watch this on YouTube, and I know that it's not the best picture.
No, that's awesome, man.
But I mean, the color and the temperament and just the chill. They're great.
That's
super underrated.
Super impressive.
You can get them colder than most of the other ones. You can also keep them pretty warm on accident, and they're good with that. They're from a range that's pretty varied as far as temperature, which makes them freaking bulletproof. I've also never been bit by one.
No shit.
Yeah, no. I just reach in and pick them up. They're absolute beautiful snakes. They're not that large. Yeah, man. Inland pythons.
No shit. All right. Hell yeah.
You mentioned your Barnecks earlier. You mentioned your Barnecks earlier. What other scrubs are you working with other than the Barnecks?
Just Barnecks and Southerns right now. And again, my southern female, Gypsy, she's absolutely gravid. I should have eggs from her any day. Barnex, I'm not sure. But Lucy is my favorite of my Barnex because she's an absolute puppy dog tame snake. She's a beautiful animal. Again, I really don't have to hook her out. I can just reach in and grab her. She's about a 10-foot long female. And I trust her, you know, and with scrubs, that says a lot. And she's just that cool of a snake that, you know, if I could pick anything in my collection that was my favorite, that was absolutely never under any circumstances ever leaving this house, it's Lucy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's a did you see too, man.
Yeah, did you guys see Cusco's video with his daughter? And he wanted her. What did he want her to hold? He wanted her to hold something, and it was like a ball python or something. And she was like, "No, I want to hold that." It was either his carpet or it was his scrub.
No, it was Annie. It was his patternless scrub.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought it was a scrub. And so
that snake's a puppy too.
Yeah, man, that snake's awesome.
So
that snake just chills, dude. Like 30 people held it for Carpet Fest. That snake just got passed around the party just, like all night.
Literally, like everybody just passed that snake around. Yeah, it was cool.
And he didn't bat an eye, and I loved seeing the video because it was funny to me because I'm just like, I want to show this to anyone that's ever said that scrubs are bitey. You know what I mean? It's like not all, you know, because like when you were talking about it earlier about how like people say these are nippy, but I've heard that about like every snake ever that these are nippy. Well, no shit. You held one, and it was the first time you ever held it, you know, and it was at some random place from some random person, you know, like you held one. You had one interaction, and that snake tried to bite you. And you don't know all range. You never kept one.
Yeah, my scrubs, because I have 7, and they all range from extremely chill handleable to going to bite you in the face.
Sure.
And literally everything in between. Like they're all on a different spot on that page.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's no rhyme or reason to it. Not for me, at least.
Another really cool chill scrub is Rob Christian's his scrub Janet. Dude, that thing.
Oh yeah, I've seen the videos.
Puppy dog, bro. Like just. This is one of the best comments we've had. Check this out.
That was Lucy. Lucy actually is. Riley is the only person that Lucy has bitten. And it was in the face.
Riley's just so sweet, you know. She just needs a little sugar.
Yeah, I don't know what Riley did. I don't know what he did, but it was his fault.
We all know Riley. You got me an Epadora, though. Just saying, Riley. We all love you, but we would love you more, Riley, if you got me an Epadora.
Riley. We heard something about you knowing a guy that knows a guy that's got some Epadora that Bradley can pick up. So hit us up,
please.
He's gonna get so many PMs now.
I think Jeff's already spoken for him, though. So that's
I was gonna say there was somebody in the comments that was like, I don't know if they're still gonna be available because he mentioned them yesterday.
He said I turned my head and my beard made her flinch. Shouldn't have let her around my shoulders. That's why she bit him. Yeah, Jeff, right now they are sold.
Gone. Yep. That lasts no
See,
time.
And so again, people say like,
Thanks for the call, Riley. Thanks for the call.
I can't sell snakes that I'm producing. Like, well, you're doing something wrong because those were talked about once yesterday, like in passing and not even advertised, and they're already gone.
I heard you got some Crebo eggs. That's cool.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about that. Freaking shout to Riley, man. That was huge.
Riley's a monster. I don't like saying that because he didn't let me first shot on the Epadora.
I'm not going to even like delegate whether you mean that in a good or a bad way. Just
you know what?
Just a monster.
Shout out. Let's see. Sorry, hold on. Just give me 1 second.
Nah, dude.
You're good. 13 eggs. Damn, Riley. While Brandon's checking that, I can't wait until we get to our segments. I got a good one for you tonight.
Oh shit! I'm excited.
Yeah, Eric Hernandez. He did. Shout out to Eric. He has a clutch of Tannenbar pythons that were laid today.
Man, I thought I saw Eric in the comments here a little bit ago.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Eric might have been in here a little bit ago, but
Sonata. He got. I think he has one good egg. He said maybe 3. I don't really know. So it's really small clutch. I doubt any of them will be available. But just the fact that he got a clutch from those is freaking awesome. It's a species that's bred like once a year, maybe. What up, dude?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, congrats, bro. That's rad. That's right. Yeah, there's been like 1, maybe 2 clutches a year that I've heard of Tannenbar, for the last couple of years. No more than that. So being able to get that species to go, that's a pretty cool accomplishment.
Well, this is that. Yeah, you're the first person I've heard talk about him. And again, like going back to what you were saying before, that's the stuff I get excited about. Like when I hear somebody talk about something that's like, oh, nobody's working with this, they haven't really been bred in the United States. I'm like, there's opportunity. Like, why is nobody screaming about these from the mountaintops? Like, why wouldn't everyone in their right mind? And I can't help but go to like the business side of things. Like, nobody's working with these. There's opportunity. There's opportunity for you to create a market around this animal, and they're obviously really cool. Like you're saying, like, why isn't anyone like taking the reins of that project and really trying to blow it up?
Well, it's cool. It's one of the smaller species of scrubs. It is the smallest species of scrub.
Even better.
Some of them can still get big, though. If you feed stupid, then, you can still accidentally end up with a 10-foot snake.
Well,
but that's just because you weren't paying attention. You don't know how to feed your shit. So don't be that guy. You don't want to be the guy with the biggest snake. That just means you suck.
Don't be that guy.
You did things wrong. Yeah, 100%. 100%.
The guy with the biggest one blew it. Just
You heard it here first, folks.
You heard it here first.
Don't take that out of context.
That wasn't a Zach fact. That one came from me, guys.
Yeah, that was not a Zach fact.
Yeah. Everyone always asks me, how big can it get? What's the biggest max length that it can get? So way better than yours should ever get. That's the answer. Don't do that.
Most definitely.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Brandon, man, I'm gonna segue into our little segments that we do every week. So the first segment that we do with everybody is band or musician of the week, and you can shout out any musician, any band from the past, present, any of your friends if they're musicians, just something you've been listening to that you think our listeners should check out.
So I love underground hip hop. I absolutely love it. And Mercules out of Canada, without a doubt, one of my favorite current artists. I've watched him come up from being a YouTube guy, just doing covers, which is how he started, to where he did a feature that just got released today with Bone Thugs and Harmony, or this week. He got it's like Monday.
Dude, I love this guy already.
And that was epic. He did a feature with Crooked Eye, who I don't know if you know who Crooked Eye is, but that dude's freaking awesome. So he just keeps just throwing out amazing music, really music that I can relate to in one way, shape, or form. And that's what I dig. So yeah, Mercules out of Canada.
Dude, hell yeah. So I was gonna say I love this guy already. His number one played on Spotify is featuring Tech9 and Hobson. And I love Hobson. As soon as you said underground hip hop, I was like old Hobson that was only on YouTube and nobody ever even knew who this guy was, and he was just like spitting fire and talking shit about everybody.
Yeah.
So no, I'm pumped to check this out as soon as we're done. Like literally, I just followed it on Spotify. I'm stoked to check this out.
Dylan says Mercules and Jelly Roll have both been killing it.
Yeah, Dylan.
Yeah, they have a lot of tracks together. Quite a few.
Hell yeah, dude! I'm pumped. I'm pumped to listen to this afterwards. Hell yeah! See, this is why I love this segment. This is why I think a lot of our guests love the segment for the same reason.
Yeah, we always get a ton of comments when we do these couple segments because everybody brings up a different type of music, a different thing, and like we love it. Ill Mind. So Zach, who you got this week?
For band, I'm I'm gonna go. I was on the fence between a couple. I'm gonna have to go with. I'm gonna go with like the one that's just kind of out of the box and literally like it's a band that pops up just like a couple times a year, and I'm like, fuck, I forgot how good this shit is, and it's just kind of totally off the radar from what people will expect from me. With my Slayer hat on, is this South African like techno rap group that everybody's probably going to remember is D'Antwoord, or as we pronounce it here, D'Antwoord. But it's Dieantwoord. It's D'Antwoord is the way they pronounce it, I guess, over there. But yeah, I fucking love those guys, man. I randomly just like periodically listen to them. Like they'll pop in my head and I'll turn their stuff on and I'll just blast through that for hours and hours and hours. Their music videos are crazy. If anybody saw the movie Chappie, that was they starred in that. That was Ninja and Yolandi. But yeah, they're just these just crazy. Their music videos is really, I think, kind of what they're known for. Like they made a whole video that like mocked Lady Gaga and shows Lady Gaga like having a bug in her vagina and then like getting eaten by a lion because like they're super like vegan vegetarians, and I guess she like wore some like meat dress at one point, and then
the meat
like
suit.
kind of but she like kind of talked down to them, I guess, at some point, and was like, oh, like I also would like for you guys to like feature on my tour, and they kind of told her to like fuck off, but then they literally went out of their way to make a music video about the entire thing, with a person that looks like her likeness, then later on getting killed by a lion in South Africa. But yeah, you guys know me. I like off the wall shit, and their music, like I'm telling you, check out their music videos if you have not listened to them, if you've never heard of them, and I'm the first person you're hearing from. Seriously, go YouTube D'Antwoord, D'Antwoord. Their videos are nuts. I mean, completely will blow your mind. Fucking crazy.
I like it. So my musician or band of the week is something different than I've ever said on here. I'll actually give Brian Cusco credit for this because he's who introduced me to it. But Steam Powered Giraffe. You guys should check out Steam Powered Giraffe. Specifically a song called Honeybee, and watch the music video. The vocal harmonies are fucking ridiculous. Like it's a very subtle type music, but the vocal harmonies, they're up there, man. Check it out. Steam Powered Giraffe. So
that's
Brandon,
a super underground one. Good call.
The
released for Spotify.
Yeah. Check it out, man. You'll love it. The second segment that we do, Brandon, is movie or TV show of the week. So it can be, like I said, same with the music. Past, present, something you're looking forward to.
Kong versus Godzilla for sure.
You fucker. That's what I was gonna do.
Yeah. Well, I watched it last night.
Yeah, man, I did too. What do you think? What'd you think about it?
It's exactly what I expected it to be. I mean, it's not like you ever go into a Godzilla movie with high expectations, let's be honest. So, it's got that like snakes on a plane vibe to it almost, just with like, it's going to be like, okay, they're going to do ridiculous stuff with the lizard, but it's cool. They're going to try to have some plot. It's going to be terrible. You're going to enjoy it anyway. There's a giant lizard fighting a giant gorilla, and they destroy cities. And
it's what it's supposed to be. Yeah.
Yes, it's what it's supposed to be. And I'm okay with that. Godzilla's nostalgic, man. And they did a good job continuing to represent Godzilla.
For those of
Team
you,
Godzilla.
For those of you who haven't seen the movie, I'm not going to tell you what happens, but it's definitely one of those mind-numbing, fun movies to watch.
It totally had a 2021 ending, though. I'm not going to spoil it, but you'll see.
I agree. I fucking agree, man. Yeah, but that's actually what my movie was going to be. So I'm going to have to change that now. Thank you, Brandon. But Zach, man, what you got for movie or TV show?
I had to think about mine for a minute, and honestly, I haven't watched this one for a while, but I bet it's like been on my mind, like, oh, I really want to rewatch that. the original Matrix.
Oh yeah, I checked
it out.
It's
so fucking good. First of all, like it's just so good, and it's literally that movie for me personally, at least. And I think it's this way for a lot of people. If it's on, I'm not turning it off. Like if I catch, like if I see it's playing, like I gotta watch it. I'm gonna sit down.
You know what really sucks though? You know what's absolutely terrible? Matrix 3.
I don't honestly even think that No, I definitely did watch it, but it's that forgettable that I'm like, I don't even remember specifically why it was bad, but I remember that it was bad.
So bad. I don't even know why they did that.
You talk about a movie that literally they could have probably made 20 sequels from if they hadn't fucked it up.
It could have been epic, but no. There had to be a gazillion Neos running around.
Yeah, it got silly. It got silly before it got deep. Like they could have gone deep and dark and weird with it, but they went just like silly and off the wall. Like they tried to plug the concept of the original Matrix into like the Hollywood algorithm of like, there has
Jar Jar Binks into the Matrix. You know what I mean? Like, remember when Star Wars did that and it ruined it? Like, that's what happened to Matrix.
We need comedic relief and we need drama and we have to check all these boxes to fit the formula of the Hollywood success. Yeah. Fuck out of here with your shit. This is the Matrix, motherfucker. We do weird shit. and it would have been way more successful. Like it 100% would have. It's like Alien, it's just like let's just like go off the rails and make it weird. People will love it anyways, but yeah. Who knows? But yeah, that's my pick, man. I love that movie. And then like I heard somebody mention like recently that's like, man, or like there's these like conspiracy theorists that think we're living in the Matrix right now, that like with the whole virus and everything, people are like, oh, this is the plot of the Matrix, or this is the plot of Terminator, man, it's coming. So I always I get a kick out of anything that suddenly strangely becomes relevant. My pick for next week will probably be one that goes along those same lines. But yeah, what you got, Bradley?
Well, since Brandon stole my my Kong versus Godzilla, the other thing that I watched recently was the Tim Burton Batman with Michael Keaton.
You. It's so good. So Michael Keaton is my Batman.
Well, what happened, man, was me and Lainey were watching YouTube. I don't even remember what we were watching, but the trailer for the Robert Pattinson Batman popped up, and Lainey was like, "I can't believe they're gonna have him play Batman," and I was like, "Michael Keaton is Batman," and she's like, "What are you talking about?" And I feel like a shitty dad because I've never shown Lainey the original Batman. And that's not the original, you got the Adam West and all that shit. But to me, Michael Keaton's the original Batman. But dude, fucking Prince did the soundtrack to that movie. Like, I mean, that movie's the shit,
Dude, I'm literally like about to have to mute myself because I just want to scream at you about how right you are, because that is literally the shit I grew up on. I watched that movie like every day for I couldn't tell you how many months. I was obsessed with Michael Keaton's Batman to the point, I think I've talked about it on this podcast. I can tell you the commercial previews that played on the VHS version if you owned it at home. There were literally
that's dedication, man.
There was an Alfred commercial. It was a Pepsi commercial that was actually part of the VHS if you bought it. The VHS had a commercial on it for Pepsi that was Alfred, and it showed Batman like flying around like in the Batmobile, like through the back roads with like leaves flying up behind him. And then there was another commercial.
He drives right into the cave. Like it's like a wall, and he drives into the fucking Bat cave.
Yep.
Yeah, dude.
And there was another commercial that was Bugs Bunny talking about like something to do with Warner Brothers or whatever. You can look it up on YouTube. But those commercials are like drilled into my head because I literally watched it every fucking day for like months and months and months. Like my grandmother would turn that on like when she babysat me to like fucking get me to fall asleep. So dude, Michael Keaton is my Batman, will always be my Batman. And I will always argue that he is the Batman for sure.
Yeah, definitely he is Batman. All right, Brandon. So the last segment that we do kind of wraps everything back around to the reptiles, and then this is where we kind of end everything. And I talked to Brandon earlier, and Brandon's reptile of the week is the scrub python. And so Brandon, school us up on everything scrub. That let us know why that's the reptile of the week.
All right, so you guys like large snakes, right? You both have berms and retics, correct? Or berm or retic, one or the other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's like what you grow up with is berms and retics for large snakes. That was just that's it. It's what everybody's got. I like stuff not everybody has. And I'm not really big on morphs per se, but locality is something that I like to focus on in my collection. And there is so much to unlock that's just untapped with scrub pythons. There's so many people that breed retics. There's a ton of people that have bred berms. We're not running out of those anytime soon, but the amount of people that breed scrub pythons every year is tiny. Yep. I mean, there's a handful of people that are doing this with any kind of success at all. And it's important to me that Cash, when he grows up, can have, if he wants a scrub python, a scrub. That's Cash is my son. I want these to continue because we have absolutely no idea when they're going to shut down import, from Indonesia. They could kill it. They could kill it tomorrow. Easy. Like that. So the stuff that we don't have breeding consistently right now, that's stuff we should be working on. You know, and for me, that's scrub pythons. And I enjoy the speed. I enjoy the intelligence of these snakes. They're extremely smart. They think things through. And, I really appreciate it. And as far as the size is concerned, there's nothing about, they're about this thick around when they're full grown adults. They're not that thick. Some of them can get thicker. Some of them can get thicker, but you can get a 14-foot scrub python that's that thick around. That is fun.
Yeah.
Really working with snakes that are that size, that are that slender, with that kind of a strike range, with that kind of a thought process to where, they whip around and start just, you have to build a bond with these animals. They're really intelligent and just, it's fun. It's passion. They're untapped. There's not really hardly any morphs, in the scrubs that are available. It's completely untapped. There's some patternless stuff. I do have a patternless male, and I've produced patternless animals. There's some pictures of hypo that have kind of come around and gone, and that have, not been replicated to my knowledge. But even just if you forget about the morphs for a second, you just look at the localities, they don't even really need morphs. There's so many different colors that you can get. There's, the really orange oscables to the, bar necks with the really deep and thick black and brown bars, the sarongs, to if you want like a more muted look than the Jayapura Manokwari, much more muted looking bar neck. If you want exantic ones, there are some exantic ones. There's just, you want yellow, bright, freaking crazy ass yellow gold, you got Moluccans. You want a black one, get a Boland's. It's all of these colors and options are available, sort of, if you can find them. They're difficult to find. They're not commonly bred, but I think it's a very intense animal for a large snake. It's not a beginning animal. If you haven't had pythons before, large pythons before, I don't recommend you get one, period. It is a snake that I feel like you should work up to. It should not be your first snake. Neither should a retic, neither should a berm. But no. So they're cool. Not for the faint of heart. If you freak out when you're getting struck at, don't get a scrub. They're not all going to strike at you, but half of them will. And you should be ready for it all the time. And there's got to be something inside of you that likes that stuff, that is okay with it. Something to where, you know, if that snake is not having a good day and you're trying to work with it and all of a sudden it darts at you, you're just like, yeah, that was cool. You know?
Or like, you sweetheart. That was cute.
Yeah. But so anyway, they're not for everyone, and that's why they're for me. And I just absolutely love the species.
I love that answer, man. That's what Reptile of the Week is about. You know, like when it first started, when Zach and I first come up with the idea for Reptile of the Week, we came up with the Reptile of the Week, and then we would talk to our guest about it. And somewhere, I don't even remember how it happened. Like, it just happened naturally.
Yeah, we both kind of brought it up to each other. Like, hey, this is not the way to do that.
Yeah, it just kind of naturally happened. Let's have our guests bring up the Reptile of the Week, and specifically for what you just did. You know, because you were, instead of Zach and I talking about the facts of pygmy rattlers, you know, which we've done before on here.
We have.
We get this passionate ass answer from you, and like that's what it's all about, man. Fuck yeah.
I would argue that might be the best answer we actually have had for Reptile of the Week.
I won't even argue, man. I'll say it definitely is. Yeah, Riley's was good with the Apodoras.
Yeah, no, like I said, I don't want because we have some former guests in the comments, and I genuinely I don't mean that as an insult to anyone else, but that was just a very thorough and passionate response, and that kind of thing I appreciate, because I found myself in your response having questions, and you answered my questions with your response, which those are like that's like the best. That's the best. Like when somebody's like giving any kind of like a presentation about something, and I'm like I find myself having questions. And then they cover those questions like 2 seconds later. I'm like, God, this guy's good. He's already thought about what I was gonna ask, you know. Because you were thorough, man. And I appreciate you saying like, hey, like if this is something you're not comfortable with, don't fucking get into these. But I love that shit, so they're fucking perfect for me. You know, that's cool. Man. Yeah, exactly. Dylan, the berm life. You know, and that's just it. You can attribute a lot of those things like don't get them for this reason. Don't get them because, you know. And they're not for everybody, but at the same time, they could be for everybody if you're understanding. And you don't mind risk, you know, the risk of like a face bite or something like that, you know. But again, I think if
you're gonna buy the ticket, just make sure you're ready to take the ride, man.
That's it, man. Thompson. There you go.
Who said Hunter S. Thompson?
Hunter S. Thompson's who said that. Buy the ticket, take the ride.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It is a quote from Hunter S. Thompson. Yeah,
Hunter S. Thompson is the fucking man. If anybody has not seen Where the Buffalo Roam with Bill Murray, another movie I'll throw out there, because everybody talks about Fear and Loathing, nobody talks about Where the Buffalo Roam, and it was
Fear and Loathing is actually the prequel to Fear and Loathing was actually a prequel to Where the Buffalo Roam. Where the Buffalo Roam happened after.
And I, for some reason, I think because of all the hype around Fear and Loathing, I like Where the Buffalo Roam better, only because again, it's just like this lesser known, like you feel like you're a little bit more because at this point I had already seen Fear and Loathing, so seeing Where the Buffalo Roam and then knowing more about Hunter S. Thompson at that time, it's like, man, this is the real shit.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Brandon, man, while we're waiting for some last comment questions from the viewers, is there anything that you just want to say or anything that you just want to throw out, you know, to let people know that you're doing, or anything that you want to tell anybody?
Man, if you want carpet pythons, call me. No, I'm kidding. I don't even have any for sale. Hopefully this year I will, though. You know, I've been super fortunate in what I've been doing, and I've just had a couple of clutches each year, which it's been, you know, what's cool is being able to sell snakes to somebody 4 and 5 years ago and being able to watch those snakes grow up, you know, through social media, and just being able to watch the people that, you know, you've helped along the way raise these animals and all of a sudden start producing some of their own animals. And you know, that's really what I'm into. So if you're interested in getting into this sort of a thing, and if you're not in a hurry, And if you're willing to just kind of take it slow and you just want to have some fun with some amazing animals, hit me up. Be happy to talk to anybody who wants to talk over the phone. Send me a PM, either Facebook or Instagram. Morelia House on Instagram. Just do Brandon Wheeler on Facebook. For some reason, the Morelia House, the Facebook business pages are terrible.
They fucking suck.
They're not good, and it'll take me like a week to respond to your message if you hit me up on there. And if you're one of those,
you don't get the notifications.
I am sorry about it. Yeah, so Brandon Wheeler on Facebook, Morelia House on Instagram, and hopefully this is a great year for everybody. I love Easter eggs, man. Watching all of my friends get clutches right now is just freaking rad, and I wish everyone a good season.
Hell yeah.
Zach, you wanna hit Brandon with Dylan's questions before?
Yeah, I was gonna say. So the one question, I apologize to Dylan because he's asked it a couple times, and we were talking about other stuff, and I wanted to try to work it in. He was asking about the largest locality of scrubs currently available in the U.S. and their enclosure size recommended.
So I would say barnecks are going to be the largest, but I'm seeing some massive Marukes as well.
I've heard that.
14 feet, 15 feet is a huge scrub python. Okay. Mm-hmm. They don't average that size. I have some, I have a 10-year-old, I believe, male barneck, and he's about 10 feet, 9.5 feet. I've got she's like an 8-year-old. This will be her second year breeding, Southern, and she's like 10.5 feet, 11 feet. This stuff doesn't have to get huge. And if you feed your scrubs to get them huge, they're going to die, and before they die, they're not going to breed. If people are heavily feeding, if you feed your scrub python like you would a retic, that is a retic's normal diet, not even a heavily fed retic diet, but what you should be feeding a retic. If you feed that to a scrub, you're going to be killing your scrub. Okay, so you knock it down, keep it easy, keep it slender. You don't want to see rolls all on their side. You don't want them to be massive. You just want them to do their thing. And there's no reason where, I would say expect 11 to 13 feet as, the norm, 13 being a really big norm. If they're pushing past that, it's a really old snake, man. I know David Means had one that I held that was like 14 feet that came from a zoo. And they fed that snake so much, dude, it was the size of a freaking softball. And you should never have a snake the size of a softball that's a scrub python. I mean, I was
going to say, massive. Yeah. We talked about that
David
earlier. Scrubs, as long as they get.
David didn't do that to it. He got it from a zoo who did it to it.
Sure.
I mean, and, I want to say the San Diego Zoo had a really old, like 21, 22-year-old barneck. That snake, I've never physically had someone be able to prove to me that it's a 17-foot scrub python. But if there was ever a 17-year-old scrub python, it lived at the San Diego Zoo, 17 feet scrub, lived at the San Diego Zoo up until about 2 years ago. And that thing, its head was like the size of my fist, easily bigger than my fist.
That's retic size,
massive snake. But apparently it was like 22 years old. I talked to one of the keepers there that I had met during a herpeton, and the snake only ate like one rabbit a month. And they'd offer it a rabbit every other week, but it would never eat. It would always skip a rabbit. And they swear it would eat a rabbit a month, and that was it. I'm like, damn, that's crazy. I don't believe the snake got that big. So, they can get freaking huge. But if you want a big snake, either one, Maruke or Sarong, really any of the Amnestina, they're going to get big. The ones that are going to stay smaller are going to be the Oskables, are going to be the Waminas are going to stay a little bit smaller. A lot of the Highland stuff is going to stay a little bit smaller. The Tanner bars are going to stay smaller. you're probably never going to get your hands on a Biak or an Uru at this point. It's just not going to happen, but those shouldn't get very large either. So those are going to be some of the smaller ones you maybe can possibly get.
If Dan O'Leary like opens his private collection for sale, possibly somebody could get some of those.
I mean, we'll see. I'm not seeing stuff like that come in. I'm also not looking.
Sure.
I know. I mean, you never know. Kush, he's got most of that stuff. All of that
he's
stuff.
Got some interesting stuff for sure.
He's got groups of all of it. So if there's anybody, any of us are going to be getting that stuff from in the future, it'll be Steven.
Yeah. Are you in any kind of contact with him in terms of like his stuff that because we know how like people network with each other that are working in similar stuff. Are you guys kind of in contact at all? Or I mean, and this isn't like a weird. I don't mean to make this a weird.
I mean, I talked to him today or yesterday. I talked to him today and yesterday. So I talked to Steve.
Cool. Yeah, he's a good kid, man. I like him a lot. I met him at the last Arlington briefly, and I love his energy, man. He seems like he's really wanting to push forward with things and just make things better, as we all are. I hope.
Yeah. First night I met Steven was fun, man. It was with Forrest Fanning, Nick Mudd, and Ryan McVeigh, and I forgot who else was there, but we all went herping out in the desert for Herpathon, and we did all the talks and everything all day. And then one of Ryan McVeigh's buddies, who's a local here in San Diego and just an avid herper I hadn't met before, super nice guy, took us out and showed me a couple of spots that I've been back to multiple times since then, and found some really cool stuff. But yeah, no, that was the first night I met him. Yeah, it was fun.
Hell yeah, that's cool.
That's awesome. Zach, man, is there anything you want to say before I close this out?
No, man, I got nothing. I'm all tapped out. Other than just again, Brandon, I really appreciate you, man. This has been super educational for me. I hope that the questions that we've asked you are things that are going to be helpful to people in the future. I know that they will be. And I hope those people will find this stuff. I appreciate the energy you bring to the hobby, man. And just your perspective, dude, is valuable. And I hope that other people will kind of pick up on those little things that you said. One thing I wanted to say earlier was like, no matter how many times a certain guest goes on any podcast, I always find that there's always little bits of information that may, to most people, seem to be just kind of fodder in the conversation. Those are the important things. Those are the stuff that I pick up on. Those are the things that I pick up on. And I got the feeling throughout this conversation tonight, there were a lot of those, a lot more than what we sometimes do have. Like I'm personally planning on going back and rewatching this and kind of making some notes around a few things that you said, a few species that you said you were interested in. And I hope that, again, a lot of other people will do the same because there was a lot of knowledge you dropped. So, again, just a big thank you. And, I appreciate you, man.
Guys, yeah, pleasure, man. It's a good time. I'll join you again next year.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, Brandon, man, again, thank you. I knew this would be fun just because, I've hung out with you. I know your personality, and I knew we would have a good time. I knew that with everything Morelia, that's why I made the post that I made, man, that if you're interested in carpets and scrubs, definitely check this out because Brandon has a ton of knowledge, and I meant it. You really do have a ton of knowledge, and it's something that you're obviously passionate about, and that means so much to anybody who really listens and understands. So again, Brandon, thank you. And to all of our listeners and people watching right now, we're gonna have another great guest next week. He's making sure he's 100% in, so I won't release his name until tomorrow when I get 100%. But you're definitely gonna want to check this one out. It's gonna be awesome. Again, Brandon, thank you, and much love to everyone who feels like they are connected by creatures. Love you guys.
Thanks, guys. Love y'all. Have a good night.